Howdy everyone, and welcome into today's video. I decided to record 3 videos in one day, and this is my final. So if I seem a little bit off or a little bit tired, please have a little bit of forgiveness because it's been a long day of recording so far, but I wanted to get this video done. So by the title and by the thumbnail, I wanted to do a good, better, and best kind of an intro guide to the good, better, and best of Native American squash blossom necklaces. So, in the comments, before I even start, if you could please put which necklace do you think is the good, better, and best? So, is this the good, the better, and the best? Or is this good, better, and best? Or is this the good, better, and best? So, please put in the comments which one you think is the good, better, and best. And I guess you could just put left, middle, and right. And then just say which one you think is good, better, and best. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. So please stay tuned. Such videos are done to assist resellers in this sometimes tricky vintage jewelry business, and I try and make the videos as easy to understand as I possibly can. I've been at this for over 30 years, so I have quite the bit of experience, and you're all in good hands, no pun intended, because I'm not only a silversmith and a jewelry historian, but also I've applied that information since I started with reselling jewelry, because my very first ring is this one. This was my very first ring I ever purchased, and I wore this to high school when I was 15 or 16 years old. And can you imagine being 15 or 16 and wearing that to high school? It's as big as a dinner plate, but I had to have it. Anyways, let's get into this, and I wanted to show you a couple of the turquoise cuff bracelets that were still out on my desk because I do area presentations for the gemological groups and also the lapidary groups. I also do it for public institutions, museums, and public libraries as well. So this was a sterling silver and turquoise cuff. Look how large and magnificent for a very cool vintage. Beautiful span on this cuff, very sizable. I think it's over 6.5 inches across. Unbelievably beautiful. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum is this hand chiseled and cold forged cuff bracelet. I've shown this in a video before, so if you want to see this close up and discuss the age and the value, please go over to the previous videos. That's what they're there for. And your luxury is I'm open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So my YouTube channel is always open. So if you can't sleep at night, you're having a rough night, you can't go to bed, maybe just maybe go over to my past videos and take a quick peek. But this is an exceptional cuff bracelet. I know you are not here for all of that. You are here to talk about these 3 specific, but I wanted to show you the necklace I was wearing yesterday. Look at that for an incredible, incredible Native American sterling silver and turquoise vintage gigantic pendant necklace. So there's that one. The 2 rings that were on my fingers, and also this one. Please go over and check out my other videos because I discuss the artists, I discuss values, and I tell you what to look for in turquoise and sterling silver rings. I should have done a good, better, and best on these 3. It would surprise you which one's the good, the better, and the best. I'm sure it would. So maybe that's a future video coming of the good, better, and best. Absolutely handsomely constructed, and an Indian diamond necklace, a pulky diamond necklace. And some of you have said, please bring on some more of your diamond goods. So if you're into sparkle and scintillation, I've got you covered with such Indian diamond necklaces. Let's settle into these 3, and I'd like to be fairly quick with the information. So I will clue you into the good, better, and best. So this is the good, this is the better, and this is the best. To a lot of people's surprise, they say to me, how could this be the best? It has no turquoise on it. It doesn't look like a, quote, traditional squash blossom. In reality, this is actually the purest squash blossom form that the Navajo used. And this is the oldest on the table. So we'll go from this to this to this, because this one is truly magnificent. Let's take a quick close-up. Let's take a look at those amazing turquoise gems. Let's take a look at the actual squash blossoms, which are these. This is called the naja. Right here, this horseshoe-shaped pendant is called the naja, spelled N-A-J-A. And the naja was actually inspired by Moorish design way, way, way back, very early on. The very first squash blossoms that were technically squash blossoms, I believe, started in around 1880, 1890. There is some debate amongst historians as to when exactly that started, but this Naja pendant had very early beginnings with Moorish design. This necklace is circa dated. I'll tell you all three so you understand. This is probably late 60s, early 70s. This one goes late 40s into the 1950s. And this one is the earliest. It goes late 1920s into the 1930s. Sometimes these can be much earlier, right around 1900. This form can be much earlier, but this specific one is later 20s into the 30s. So you can see that kind of elevation of value because of this being the earliest, this being in the mid-century, and then this one being tourist trade from the highest uh, years of production of squash blossoms. When you think of squash blossoms, you think of Sonny and Cher from 1960. And the more turquoise, the better back then. In the purest form, they seldomly had turquoise. So just a learning moment there, but this is solid sterling silver. These are machine-made bench beads. Those are machine-made bench beads. We'll get into Navajo pearls down on this one. These are also machine-made bench beads on this one. So let you look close at the construction. Also note the thin characteristic of that silver flower. See how thin that is? The gauge of the metal is very thin. I don't want to say that they are clumsy, but they are quickly produced. See how there's not a lot of grace in that funnel shape, and they seem kind of haphazard? Please be careful because contemporary knockoffs of squash blossoms are plentiful. I would say the vast majority of the ones I've seen on Etsy, eBay, Ruby Lane, those kind of more retail selling platforms, there's a major flood in the market of much newer and still being sold as, quote, vintage. So please be careful because it does matter, because value on vintage is much higher than contemporary, unless you get into notable silversmiths. So I always have to say that with caution as well. So there's the back construction of the good version. There's that one. Let me bring up the better version, and you'll see why. This is still very substantial and still very beautiful. Values we'll get into hopefully by the end before I hit stop record, because sometimes I simply forget. I always have it all planned out, and I don't do these with an outline or a direction or notes. I just go. I just hit record and go. Check this out. See how these stones are much larger, the bezels are tighter. Look at the thickness of the flowers. Look at that. See how that gauge got more substantial? The elegance of the flower got more graceful. See how that funnel becomes longer and more elegant? And the heft of the metal is there. Also notice the beads in between, not as rushed, not as mass produced as these, even though they're still machine made. Check that out. And look at the way this is strung on this chain. That is foxtail chain. So see how that's like a mesh chain as well. So we'll look at that. Look at the early hook style clasp. And again, Navajo construction, absolutely original. And being late 40s into the 1950s, sometimes these will even hedge towards the early part of the 40s, but this one's more late 40s into the, we'll say mid 1950s. Let me show you the construction on the back as well. But notice how the naja is constructed very carefully out of wire. not out of flat sheet. This one was constructed out of flat sheet with the wire construction on the back. I'm showing you similarities and differences as we go. I hope that is helpful. Sometimes there is a very big gray area, and the only way I've known these things is through my experience in the business, and also, like I said, learning from the experts, learning from someone who only dealt in Native American jewelry, that either lived out west or traveled out west or had trade amongst the tribes there. Look at the construction of those blossoms. That central post was soldered on to then hold that blossom in place. See how that's also soldered shut on the back of the flower? See how that is soldered shut, soldered closed here on the back of the flower where that kind of line is holding the flower so it stays so balanced on the neck. Very careful craft on these pieces. You can see that this is very carefully crafted and far more substantial in its turquoise, its flowers, its grace, its craft. This oozes wealth. This oozes luxury. It's not saying that this doesn't, because this still does. They're still very expensive, but this is a step up by a large margin per se. I just absolutely love this one, and I do wear this frequently. Let me lay that back down so we can get another close look at the front. And again, please notice the attention to those bezels. Each bezel is made for each stone. See how this one is slightly more deep than this one? Let me show you the profile. Hopefully you can see that without losing the necklace off the board. But you can see that the profiles of the bezels change. Do you see why? Because this stone is taller than this stone. Look at the way the bezels hug those stones. Very, very, very important craft issue. So always look. Also, this feels very soft to the hand. This is very soft. This is very graceful. When you touch this, it's a little more jagged, a little bit more rough around the edges. When I feel these flowers and I touch that flower, very soft, very well finished, sanded and polished each one. When I touch these, they're very rough, they're very jagged, and you almost can see where that is seemingly cut with almost tin snips or scissors. Very rough on the edges. Very quick production on this one. And then you touch these flowers. I should do a side by side. You touch these flowers and they're so smooth. There's the side by side. Rough and kind of haphazard, and then elegant and tapered and soft to the touch. Much thicker metal here, much thinner metal here. All about fast production. So there's that one, and then the grand finale is this one. Absolutely exceptional in all ways. No turquoise, purest form, strong nausea, constructed out of wire and then dap and punched domes that are soldered down. Look how compact this is. Do you see how this is a little bit more spread out, a little bit more airy, and this one's way spread out? Did you see that as well? Now that's not always a telltale sign of age or quality, but look, compact, robust, very heavy, a little bit lighter, a little bit more spaced out, and then very spaced out, very almost airy in its approach. Good, better, and best. Let's take a close look at this, and then we're going to call the video because I have got to get down to Jeremy's house because I didn't tell you the secret. We have a sale tonight on Bully Run, and I don't want to be late. Look at the elegance of these flowers. Notice how each one is so carefully hand-formed, hand-tapered, and hand-wrought, and look at the thickness of the metal. Also, 4 lobes on the flower rather than 3 lobes on the flower here. You'll notice that the craft of the edge is truly exceptional, sanded down, finished, and polished, and when I touch this, I don't feel any sort of tooth or jaggedness. Also, these are completely handmade Navajo pearls. So see how that central seam is so much thicker and more robust? That's because the gauge of the metal is so much thicker. These are completely handmade and hand soldered together, but you still see that raised ridge You still see that ridge? If you were to touch these in your hands, you would understand what I'm saying. Also, do you see that kind of reeded line that goes across the blossom? See that reeded line, that kind of engraved surface on that tab that holds this together? Attention to detail, going slow, taking their time, and making something truly incredible. This is also strung on the tiger tail, so there is that very thick woven mesh, all original hook and clasp. I'll let you look at that because that is an early one. The fish hook and kind of that figure eight, a little bit elongated there, almost looks like a snowman in a way on the clasp. And then that simple fish hook. Check out that naja. Its simplicity, it's powerful, it's elegant, it's robust. I so wish you could touch this and feel the heft and the weight without being clumsy and unrefined. I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at in this video so you know what to look for in authentic Native American squash blossom necklaces. And why does it matter? You're asking yourself, because these are historically important necklaces that were tribally used very early on. Check out that hand construction again. See how all these pieces are hand cut and hand soldered together in that very simplest of forms. Let me put this one back where it was. Then we'll talk value briefly. Now, values will fluctuate drastically for two different reasons. Your geography of where you are, where you're shopping. Out west, these are always extremely expensive. Here in Ohio, they are very favored as decorative jewelry, but they are very affordable. I have built a collection of over 100 and I think it's now 111 because I did sell some. I think I'm at now 111 squash blossoms. They were one of my favorite forms of necklace and body adornment for a long time, so I invested in them. So again, for price, geography, where these items are being sold, where they are, and how they're being sold. So out west, they're going to be far more expensive than they are in Ohio. By experience, I can say that for sure. Also, are they being sold at a retail store? Are they at an estate sale? Is it liquidation value? Is it at an auction where people and the vast majority and the masses and the buying community decides what they are worth? So there's many variables when it comes to value. I don't ever fight about it because I tell people I don't need to fight about it. I've been in business over 30 years. There's no fight left in me. There's no reason to. So on this one, on the good version, it's still beautiful. It's still incredibly well done. It is vintage. It is wonderful. On this one, I would say anywhere between, because of the stones and the quality of the metalwork and this beautiful border and the electric nature of those stones, between $1,500 and $1,800. Could you get it for about $1,200 on a very good day? Yes. Would you sometimes have to pay upwards to maybe $1,800, maybe $2,000? The answer is yes, based on age and quality and mine of those turquoise stones. Absolutely. And let's take a quick look again so you can understand the quality of these stones and how really magical turquoise can be. Doesn't that just look so heavenly and so beautiful? All right, so there's that one. The one that elevates slightly as the good version elevates drastically in value. Many people have seen this that are advanced collectors. They have all said, do you realize that's now between $4,000 and $5,000? And I say, yeah, in a retail environment, between $4,000 and $5,000 for this version. And then we get over here and we get into something that's completely a breed apart, something that is truly amazing and magical. When they're earlier than this, they can reach $10,000 to $15,000 when they're slightly earlier. So I'd feel comfortable saying in this version anywhere between maybe the $5,000 and $6,000 mark. Some people will disagree and say no, it's more like $3,500, and then there's going to be other retail galleries that would say I wouldn't sell that for less than like $7,500 based on its quality and based on its age. So hopefully that helps you out of what I have always known to be truthful with squash blossoms, what I've looked for, and how I've built my personal collection over the years, and also how I've stayed in resale for over 3 decades now. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'll be sure to get to them. I think that sums it up for the day. Also, if you have any recommendations on videos, please put that also in the comment section. I do appreciate you sharing me out to at least a few of your friends. I'm in a mad dash to the end of 2025, and I do have a subscriber goal to get to. So thank you so much for assisting me in all that you do. I hope I help all of you out and make you happy. I love you because I do.